Doesn't that look good? It's blueberry season, and we're going to make an overnight blueberry French toast. And it's yummy. So the first thing we need is a baking dish. I've got a smaller one and some brioche bread. You could use regular bread. Butter, 4 eggs, some vanilla, milk, and of course we need sugar and blueberries to go with it. So here's our pan and our bread. I'm going to butter one side of the bread just to give it a little more oomph. A little more buttery goodness. So you could butter both sides if you really wanted to. That's not necessary. Spray the bottom of the pan to make sure it doesn't stick too much. And now we're going to Tetris in our slices. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to get it to fit, but you can see it's a smaller pan. The recipe is actually for the larger baking pan, but I didn't really need that much for breakfast. I didn't reduce the liquid, and I probably should have. In the end, it still worked out just fine. Live and learn. You can see this is the fun part where you get to cut little pieces of bread to make them fit, because you do want to cover the bottom as best you can. Now, at this point, I would put some cinnamon and blueberries in. I didn't, because the recipe didn't say to do it, so I just put the second layer on top. But after making it, I can tell you that it would have been a lot more yummier. Not that it wasn't, but a lot more yummier having those blueberries and cinnamon in the middle. So there's our second layer all ready to rock and roll. I just got to finish the last little slice to kind of... There we go. Now we're done. We'll set that aside and get our milk mixture ready to roll. All right. Now this is a bigger measuring cup. We're going to put 2 cups of milk in, so you need something a little bigger than 2 cups. So this is 2 cups of milk right there. And to that go our 4 eggs. I guess if you're halving the recipe like I did, you could half this too, and it would work out just as well. So like 1 cup of milk, 2 eggs. For what I'm making, that would work just as well for it. You know what? I'm following this. This is 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Yummy. My daughter always said, whatever the recipe calls for, put in extra. Next up, 1/4 cup of sugar. So you don't need a lot. And we're just going to whisk all that together till it turns nice and yellow and all the eggs are broken up. All right. Now this gets poured onto our bread. And you can see why I used a measuring cup, because it's got a spout on it. And believe me, I've done it many, many times where using a cup or anything like that, it just spills all over the place. Half of it ends up on the cutting board or on the table. This way it kind of manages to stay in the baking pan. So there you go. And like I said, I put a lot in there. Cinnamon's up next. Beautiful. And now our blueberries. I'm not even sure how much I put in. It was like 5 handfuls. I'm not even sure how much that was. Maybe a pint, maybe a pint and a half. Don't really know. Put it on to suit. So next up we got some plastic wrap. Why? Because this is going in the fridge. And of course, if you're like me, plastic wrap is always a pain. There's always one side folds over or crinkles up or whatever. But we're going to work through it. You want to seal this up because We are going to put it in the fridge overnight. That's why it's called overnight blueberry French toast. So in she goes, ever so carefully, and we'll see you in the morning. And here we are bright and early at 9 o'clock. Take the plastic off. And a lot of the milk, not all of it, but a lot of it has soaked in to the bread. So now we got to get it in the oven. 350, 35 to 45 minutes. And you can see that it's starting to poofy up there. I mean, that's how you know it's almost done. However, because of the extra liquid I put in, instead of it being 35 to 45, it was actually 55 to an hour. But here's the finished product. Look at that. Yummy! This turned out really well, and if you're a fan of blueberries or whatever fruit you want to use for this, it's a real simple dish, but it's nice to wake up to. You know, my only regret was that I didn't have bacon to go with it at the time. As you can see, it's not a huge pan that I was using. There's only 4 servings, really. Well, I guess if you cut it a little smaller, you'd have more. But there's 1 serving. That's plenty for breakfast, I thought. I got to get the rest of the blueberries because half of them fell out on me. There we go. Now we're talking. And if you really wanted to, if that's not sweet enough, you can drizzle a little bit of maple syrup on it, and that'll be just fine. I didn't feel the need for it, but here you go. There is our overnight blueberry French toast. Yummy. This was fun to make and great to eat. Hey, another great recipe. I hope you'll give it a try. Leave me a comment below, one way or the other. Listen, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell because that'll tell you the next time I upload a video. Feel free to share this and any of my other videos. And thanks for stopping by and watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.